What I love about this panel, aside from it being a high-powered panel, each one of them has a unique way in which they're utilizing the Glover U system. And why we do these panels, because it's so interesting to me. You know, you're going to get a survey tomorrow within like 3 hours of the conference ending. I mean, that's how like adamant we are about, we want feedback, we want feedback. And the feedback on everything we do is always, of course, mostly favorable. Every now and again, we'll get people, but here's what's interesting about panels. We get people that are either like, man, I wish you guys had more panels. And then we get people that are like, man, I think you guys have too many panels. Well, hold on a second. We only have one per day. And what I will tell you about our panelists is that this isn't like fluff. This isn't to fill time. This isn't like, you know, well, I guess conferences are supposed to have panels, so we should probably have panels too. No, these are people that are using our system at a high level that can probably teach you a thing or two about what they're doing that might be kind of unique. You know, you have the Glover U plan, you know what we do, but hearing a different perspective or hearing how someone else is applying it in their market, I personally think adds a lot of value. And for myself personally, I'm always a student first. And so I get value from the panels because I get to, when I do their interview calls with them, I get to hear how they're using our system. And it's pretty fascinating, their take or their spin on it. So for the final time of the 2025 Live Unreal Summit, let's like go a little crazy, a little obnoxious, a little bit over the top enthusiastic, since I know many of our brokers and leaders are off in another room. Let's give them a huge round of applause. The final panel of the Live Unreal Summit. Welcome them out. There is a lot of production up here. You're going to see that in just a second. So Scott, we're going to start with you real quick. In 2024, 100 units closed for the team. Your goal this year is 260, so I'm fascinated to learn about what you're implementing and doing differently to do that, because to go from 108 to 260, I've had to do something similar, and it's not easy. So we're going to talk about that in a second. Also, just real quick, team building graduate, systems of real estate graduate, sales rocket graduate, and also one-on-one coaching. So you're off to a strong start this year. Quite honestly, the last 90 days has been like, I think we had the conversation of your last 90 days have been better than even your previous 6 months. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why you're up here, because I like people who are relevant like right now, succeeding right now. So what's different about your last 90 days versus, say, a year ago?
It would probably be easier to say what's not different.
Okay.
But I'll go with what's different.
Yep.
So, you know, everything's coming together. I was really honored to be here, and my first thought was, can I wait till June until I can like prove it a little more?
Yeah, and by the way, such a humble guy, because he honestly said, he said, are you sure you don't want me to maybe do like next year after I can report this big jump? Because I know what's going to happen. I said, no, listen, you're winning right now. You deserve to be up here.
Yeah, so December we had 18 closings. It was our best December ever. It was up 300% over last December. Mm-hmm. And then January we have 14, and so it would be our best January ever.
Yeah.
It's up 274% and actually ties our first quarter of last year.
That's huge.
So
yep.
Coaching calls are fun when they ask and
yes.
say, hey, oh yeah, I'm up 300%. They're just like, stop talking.
There's a pause for a second. Right, right.
So in order to do that, you know, it also comes with people. Now, this is all with the people we had on our team, but what I've been doing, or what's the opportunity that has come to me, is we had a top producing team agent say, hey, you know what, I'm really interested in joining your team, and she was assistant team leader, and she's now our director of sales. Mm-hmm. And so she was with 1120 Realty, and so when she raised her hand, another top team in the office was like, well, if she joins your team, I want to join your team.
Yeah.
And so
that's how it works
what
sometimes.
Happened in December was just, you know, that's, I think, 7 or 8 agents and an admin. Mm-hmm. And no one really ever said, hey, I wish we would have just done this faster when there's that much change. And so we've been really slowly doing that, going through the hiring process. I just sent out the 5 full team agreements on Tuesday of this week. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of that has changed.
So have you raised your goal? Was it before that? Was it lower than 260? And you're like, oh, we got to increase this thing. And if not, are you considering increasing it?
Well, no, I had the goal, and I was going to make it happen.
Yeah.
So.
And now?
Yeah.
260 is happening no matter what.
Yeah.
So in other words, what you're saying is you set the number and then you figured out how you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And you're going to get there.
Yeah, and we also we have a personality-based business. You know, but that's not scalable.
Yeah.
I can't tell you to just be 6'8" and come to conferences and just have people like refer you business, because it's just not scalable. And so
That's right.
we also we're very big in database in that, and for the first time ever, we're getting big into online leads and the lead flow and the systems, and we have someone that's managing all of that too. And so there's just so much exciting change happening.
So that was going to be, let's start with an area that I would say you guys have done very well with, and that's your lifetime client database. That's what you call it. What do you mean by that, and what's unique about the way you guys treat your clients, or what you do to get more business from your clients versus, say, your competition?
Well, lifetime clients, they have to have used us, they have had to have referred us. They could be a multiple referral partner, and the most important is we have to like them, because we've had clients that we don't like that we just, buy after, after it closes.
Yeah.
But what's going really well with them is just, and you guys, I mean, you've heard the database stuff to death. And what I would encourage you is couple things. I teach this all the time, and a lot of people have limiting beliefs around client events. And the limiting beliefs I hear are, I'm too new, what if no one shows up, it's going to cost too much money. Has anyone had those thoughts about client events?
Yeah, especially the expense side.
Yeah.
Or I can't manage all this. Is so much to manage.
And so when we look at that, two ideas pop in my mind. One, during 2 years ago, we had a rough year. We kind of gotten our butts kicked in the last 4 years. So, yeah, we did 108, but our highest was 217, just to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
And now we're getting back. But we were like, we can't go spend. We like to, we were doing a happy hour. It's kind of our culture. And
Well, that's a Wisconsin thing.
Exactly. So I don't want to go spend $4,000 to buy people, cheese curds and beer when we're not making money. So we quickly flipped and we did a blood drive that was completely free. It was managed by the blood center, and it also hit a culture need because of incidents with the team of someone needing blood. And so it was just challenge yourself that if money is the issue, there's ways around it. And the other quick story on that is a new agent joined our office, and he didn't have any clients, and I was teaching this class, and he came up to me the next week. And he said, hey, he showed me a flyer, and it was a Photos with Santa, and it was a furniture store. And it's where he worked before real estate. It was their Photos with Santa event, and he just marketed it as himself.
Yeah.
So he didn't pay any money. He didn't find the Santa. Didn't do anything. He just marketed it. And so everyone that showed up, how do you have so many clients? You just started real estate. So it's just find a way.
Yeah, I love that. One thing that I thought was pretty fascinating, because Scott, you and I have known each other for a long time. You've been coming to Glover U events. I think your first one was maybe 2018 or 2019 in the winter, I think in Battle Creek, Michigan. Yep, I remember that one.
I almost died on the way home.
Yep, yeah, that was a tough one. So one thing that I am really proud of you that you said to me on the phone when I said, well, what's unique about your team today? And you said you're going to be the best trained in Wisconsin. What is that?
Just the best trained sales organization, and in the sales skills, because I think that's the biggest differentiator of Glover versus anyone else.
And by the way, that was all, prior to Glover U even existing. That's how I felt about our team. We are going to be the best darn trained sales team in our state, period.
Yeah.
And so you're proclaiming that.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So it's really.
And so then the next question is, what does that look like? What do you got to do to get that?
Yeah, you talk about things that changed too. Is when last year at the retreat, I partook in too much, drinking, staying up too late, and I woke up and I was just super anxious. That anxious, regretful, fed up feeling. And I came to this stuff, and then I went over to your Swags shop or Drip store.
Should we change the name? Drip?
And I saw the shirt Done with Good Enough. And it was just something clicked in me. And I was like, you know what? I am so done with being good enough that I need to change. And I actually just went out, signed up for one-on-one coaching, signed up for team building, and signed up for systems real estate, like right there.
All
and
in
bought
one.
the shirt.
Yeah, and bought the shirt. We might have given you the shirt if we knew you were going to do that. All right. So, yeah, tell us about the last 3 years of your personal life. What have you done personally to prepare you for what you're doing right now? Because honestly, I don't think had you done what you did in your personal life, you'd be doing what you're doing in your professional life, because those two go hand in hand.
Yeah, I mean, the last 3 to 4 years have been pretty rough personally. And you think that if you're leading, you think that you can hide it and like no one knows, and that like, hey, I'm good. And it's kind of like real estate. If you don't do your job that day, it shows up like 90 days later. And so
That's actually a really good analogy.
2020, I just realized that I needed to end my marriage, which was really hard because I had 2 kids. I have them. And I couldn't imagine not being with them every night.
Yeah.
It was just terrifying. But I was also like extremely like deathly soulless.
Yeah.
And that just comes with, I mean, COVID happening and then being forced to be in that same environment, and a lot of things it just partook in. Just it could have gone one of 2 ways. I could have gone really off the rails because it takes a while. And what happened was I really poured into myself. I was going through therapy, and I got into physical challenges. So if you're burnt out mentally and emotionally, what do? Just burn yourself out physically too. And I did a couple marathons. I did a half Ironman, and I was just doing these things because it was just like I knew I needed to work on myself, and it was a long journey, and now it's finally starting to pay off.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Last question I have. Great job. Really proud of you for that, Scott. Last question I have for you is, most recently you mentioned to me when I asked you the question, what have you used in the Glover Use systems that are helping you right now? And you said you created a listing playbook. Tell us about that.
What you did yesterday or 2 days ago, it blends together. But when you said, "Hey, this is the steps to the listing presentation,"
Yeah, breaking it down by the steps.
So what I did, what I've been doing in the past 3 or 4 months is I look at your listing presentation video. I've watched it 4 times, and then I watched the breakdown of it 4 times, and I wrote it all out, word for word. And then I looked and took things like I'm not on the billboards at the Brewer games yet.
Sure, yeah, that's all right.
And you're doing a lot of things that we don't, so I had to make it my own. Dictated it all, and then that's just one part. But then it goes from the moment you get the lead to the moment it closes. It's just a click. So here's the pre-qual questions. Here's every step. You got the 5 steps. So I'm going through everything that you've ever taught, and I'm texting Matt like 17 times a day. Hey, can you send me your trifold? Can you send me this? And we created our own trifold for buyer side, seller side, all of that.
Yeah, I love that. So you plug and played with the tools, created them, made them your own, and now when an agent joins you, it's easy for you to turn around and train them on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, let's hear it for Scott. Nice job, Scott.